Today we rise to honor a hard-working labor leader, Cesar Chavez, who founded the United Farm Workers Union and dedicated his life to promote nonviolence through boycotts and strikes that would protect farm workers from the dangers of pesticides, low wages, and the denial of free and fair elections. I met Cesar Chavez in the 1970s when he came to organize farm workers in Texas. I was a young state representative and was inspired by his leadership then, and as he inspires people today in this century. Cesar Estrada Chavez was born on March 31st, 1927 in Yuma, Arizona. It was 10 years later, in 1937, that like many other migrant families, his parents lost their farm and their home. This was a hardship that led them to join the thousands of other migrant farm workers to toil in the California fields. In 1944, Cesar Chavez enlisted in the U.S. Navy, where he served and fought for the United States in the Pacific War during World War II. He later married Helen Fabella and fathered 8 children. Although Cesar Chavez was not able to complete high school because his family required his helping hands in the California fields, he not only endured the hardships of migrant working conditions, but experienced the injustice that he later made a personal crusade for migrant farm workers. His personal struggles as a migrant farm worker led him to found a nonviolent way to help Hispanic farm workers. In the 1950s, Cesar quietly began to study and work for the better working conditions of migrant workers. His persistent struggle to help Hispanics led him to organize the National Farm Worker Group in Fresno, California. Cesar Chavez was one of the first Hispanic activists that begun a series of boycotts and strikes against California grape growers, most notably called a boycott against Shinley Industries, a major California grape producer. His series of boycotts and strikes caused the national awareness that provoked late Senator Robert F. Kennedy to criticize local officials after uncovering strike-breaking practices against the farm workers. The National Farm Workers Union later reached a groundbreaking settlement with the Shinley Industries that marked the first contract ever signed for farm workers in the United States. Mr. Speaker, I ask unanimous consent to place the remainder of my statement in the record. And again, as a House recognized the monumental achievement of Cesar Chavez, the United Farm Workers, in representing workers everywhere.
Gentleman's